Okay. Welcome back to a review. This is not exactly this is my first audio only review, so let's just basically get this over with. So basically, let's talk about the backstory of the picture you see in front of you. This is the cover to issue 1. This is not exactly a review of issue 1. This is a review of the whole main mini-series for the event that happened from November 1986 to May of 1987, called Legends, a 6-issue limited series that basically was a small scale small scale event. The only reason why DC did this, from what I've heard, is because Crisis Universe was such a huge success, so they decided to do a follow up with this particular crossover. Now, yes, Darkseid is the main antagonist of this crossover, but he's more of a background villain in a way. Basically, you can kind of say that the main villain is G. Gordon Godfrey, a Jack Kirby character who made his first appearance in the first issue of the Fable. Darkseid made his first appearance in the pages of Superman Pal Nelson. Now, there are 4 particular people I talk about when it comes to this particular crossover. First, of course, the writers, John Ostrander and Len Wein. Some people might know the name Len Wein as the creator of Swamp Thing and Wolverine. Yes, he did write this miniseries. And Ostrander, interesting fact about him when it comes to this miniseries, this was his first published DC work. This was the first comic he ever wrote at DC Comics, before he did the Suicide Squad, which I'll get to them soon. The artist is John Byrne, and the inker, who is one of the names on the cover, his name is Harv Hazel. Now, the thing about this particular crossover is that, unlike most crossovers, which usually do end series, this one only ended one, and that was Justice League America, which I'll get to what its replacement was soon. Now, and the series also has some few interesting little story bits to it. I mean, first, obviously, in issue 3, it's the first appearance of the Suicide Squad. Issue 1 was the first appearance of Amanda Waller. Plus, the miniseries was also the first post-crisis appearance, of Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel. Now, according to this miniseries, this miniseries was the reason why Wonder Woman came to, basically, this is the first time she's ever in the men's world. That's the way this miniseries went, despite the fact that it contradicts her Golden Age origin story. But it's post-crisis, and of course George Perez explains a lot better in his run for Wonder Woman. Now, pretty much in the first issue, you have Firestorm taking on this giant creature called Brimstone, and apparently he kills him. And it starts this little it's apparent, because it's never confirmed he actually does kill him. He looks like everybody thinks he kills him, but he really did not. However, the whole Brimstone character is just a pawn of Darkseid, who, the reason why he's doing the whole event is because he's having a little bit of a debate with the cosmic entity, the supernatural entity known as the Phantom Stranger, who is on Apokolips. How it got there is completely questionable, and it's never explained in the miniseries how the Phantom Stranger got there or how he got back to Earth. It's completely unknown. But Darkseid wants to have, in a way, he wants to have a full-scale invasion of the planet, but he wants to do it in sort of a secretive way. So, he basically has it where he wants people to sort of welcome him, in a way. So, he sends G. Gordon Godfrey, the G stands for Glorious Godfrey, but G. Gordon Godfrey, to Earth to basically have the public turn against the superheroes. Okay. Now, some of you are thinking, does that sound similar to Smallville Season 10? Kinda, because I do have a theory, because from watching that miniseries and reading about this event online while the final season was coming out, I think they loosely adapted this miniseries to that particular season. Okay? Eventually, Firestorm does come to his senses, and yet, yeah, he did not kill the Brimstone character. Now, in the case of Amanda Waller, she's only there for about a couple pages in issue 1. I mean, John Byrne does a pretty good job drawing the character of Amanda Waller. You should check it out in the 30th anniversary trade they did the DC release recently of the crossover. I think it's coming out soon. Excuse me. The pretty much because of the whole thing with the Brimstone guy, and because it looks like that the public is going to turn against the heroes, Ronald Reagan, who was president at this point, he decided to put out a sort of an executive order that all superheroes, like basically kind of a ban in a way. Pretty much all the superheroes do obey by it, all except for about 4 heroes do not obey by it. Batman, Superman, Flash, who was Wally West at this point, and Beast Boy. Because even they feel this whole thing... Now, Ronald Reagan only did this because he was kind of basically forced into it. And even Batman feels that the whole edict was stupid. So he decides to go out and just do what he normally does. Just beat up criminals and hand out the police. And Commissioner Gordon... And also, for some reason, I'm not sure who wrote the cops like this in the way. I don't know if it was Ostrander or Wynn who did this. But it's like the cops are kind of trigger happy in this miniseries. Yes, the cops are trigger happy where they want to shoot the heroes. For no reason. Well, the only reason I would shoot them because they're disobeying an edict. So either they're trying to arrest them or make them trigger happy. Now, there's one cop who basically is obeying the law, basically points out, yeah, he's supposed to arrest the superheroes on site. But even Commissioner Gordon points out that he doesn't even like the edict at all. He frequently disobeys it, but he doesn't get removed from office. Nope, he doesn't. Excuse me. That's what happens frequently at the whole miniseries. I do have a feeling that the police way acted. I have a funny feeling that it wasn't Lynn who wrote that. I think it was Ostrander who wrote that. But that's a minor thing when it comes to this miniseries. Now, I will talk about the Justice League America. Prior to this particular miniseries coming out, the regular Justice League America, which debuted back in the early 60s, they have sort of disbanded and was replaced by the Detroit era, which was comprised of Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Commander Steel, Vibe, yes, Vibe, Gypsy, Vixen, and there was a few other characters who decided in full time. This is a team. Excuse me. Yeah. So, pretty much, the team itself pretty much operates out of Detroit for a couple of years until they are basically disbanded. Now, during the course of this very crossover, two members of the team die. Vibe and Commander Steel both do in fact die. And in case any of you ask, the Commander Steel who appears in the Justice League America series is the grandson of the character who appears in I think it's All-Star Squadron. Yeah, it's his grandson. Yeah, he appears in there too. It's kind of a strange thing. But also at this point, the Justice League operated out, like, they have returned to their secret sanctuary at this point in time. Yeah, so the Justice League was basically forced to disband during the course of this crossover, but because of the whole full-scale invasion thing, everyone pointed out the fact, and the one way the public turns against Godfrey is him smacking a kid. Yeah, the kids are basically more well-written than the adults. They think only the heroes are basically just people who cause crimes. Yeah, it's kind of a weird metaphor how they wrote the characters in the series. The children point out the children respect the superheroes very well. There's some adults who are written really well, but there's a bunch that are written like complete buffoons. Yeah, I don't know who to blame for that, but once you have Godfrey slapping a kid because he points out the holes in Godfrey's logic. Yeah, that's the reason why Godfrey slapped him, because he pointed out the hole with his logic. And the public turns against him because he slapped a kid. And then this one small group who was still allied with Godfrey attacks the White House, of all things, to assassinate Reagan. This was, of course, just a few years after he was shot by Hinckley. But they did something, the heroes did something quite interesting. Now, I have never seen this footage, but apparently Linkara put this out in his Blue Beetle retrospective. Where they attack they assault the White House just to kill the president. Because Godfrey thinks the president should die. So, they attack the president, and they shoot him, and he survives by showing off his manly abs. Even I was laughing at that. Yeah, and it turns out it was actually Martian Manhunter was posing as the president, basically saving the president's life. So, Reagan decides to retract his little edict. And also... Darkseid sort of started his full-scale invasion of the planet, but the heroes did come together. And the heroes do come together, pretty much, they come together kind of form a new Justice League in a way, which the team that comes together that fights Darkseid's forces are, just trying to get this right here, it is, get to it, a while upload. Yeah, the heroes who basically take on Darkseid's forces are... Get up here, thank you. It is... well, it's Dr. Fate who brings these people together. Basically, he brings Superman, Batman, Captain Marvel, Guy Gardner, Black Canary, Beast Boy, who's called Changeling at this point, the Flash, and the Blue Beetle. Now, they do in fact win... They do in fact save the day. And most of these people, and of course, yeah, Wonder Woman joins them too, but Wonder Woman just disappears for some reason. It's never explained in the miniseries where the heck she went. My guess is she went back to her solo town. She never officially joins the new Justice League they form up. And near the Superman. But a majority of the people who pretty much come together in this particular miniseries now, pretty much, I think it was Dr. Fate who was, Martian Manhunter thing. Yeah, we should put together a new Justice League now with members of this team. Now, Flash, who does join sometime later, but he and Superman decline because they have their own obligations in their respective cities. Changeling declines mainly because he's already part of the Teen Titans. He's kind of young to join Justice League. So, in the aftermath of this particular, the lineup for the Justice League is Martian Manhunter, Batman, Blue Beetle, Guy Gardner, Black Canary, Captain Marvel, and Dr. Fate. Of course, this team later on became the JLI, but yeah, that's the lineup for the group. As for Darkseid himself, he doesn't really fight any of the heroes in this crossover at all. Despite the fact he's the master manipulator of this crossover, he doesn't fight any of the heroes. Basically, he's a background villain, while Godfrey is the main villain of this particular crossover. Story-wise, it's told really well. It's got really good pacing, despite how some people, well, all the heroes are pretty much acting character, well, except for Firestorm, was kind of mopey throughout the whole thing, but even he basically gets his crap together and basically realizes, though, that that something is up and he did not kill the Brimstone character. Now, the one other thing I should talk about is, of course, the Suicide Squad, which they did form as part of the aftermath for this particular crossover. Yeah, they, here we go. Yeah, this is, of course, the modern-day Suicide Squad. Not the, Suicide Squad, this is 6 operating World War II. Let's see. Come on here. Yeah, I'm trying to bring it up here. That was taking a little while. The issue 2, when they start bringing the team together, it is Amanda Waller, Deadshot, Colonel Flag, and Bronze Tiger. That's in issue 1. That's in issue 2. In issue 3, they bring in Enchantress, Captain Boomerang, and Blockbuster. No, it's not the Blockbuster from the Nightwing series. It's his brother, Mark Desmond. The one from the Nightwing series is, I'm trying to think of his name. It is Ronald Desmond. Yes, Ronald Desmond. Blockbuster himself dies in the crossover, but everybody else stays with the team. But Captain Boomerang, a Flash villain, yeah, he made a deal that he would join the group, and he gets his pretty much his sentence, sent and served, and gets released. And Colonel Flag lives up to that promise, while Waller wants to keep him on the roster. But he does come back in the series. Even though it kind of turns against him he kind of does turn against the team during the course of the series, but he's kind of forced back into it in the actual ongoing series. Osborn does afterwards. But so in the aftermath of this crossover, you have 2 new series, Justice League and Suicide Squad. Justice League will go on for, well, this particular numbering anyways, will go on for at least over a decade, while Suicide Squad lasts for 5.5 years. With great storytelling by John Ostrander. Basically, yeah, from his perspective, he was using this crossover to set up a new Suicide Squad series. Okay. I mean, the way it's presented here, it makes it so it's very interesting to pick up the actual series. Now, is this particular event ever referenced in the future? As far as I know, by the time of the Flashpoint reboot, this event is never brought up. Ever. It's not a forgotten crossover, and its ramifications were very small in magnitude. Yes, it did affect a lot of the heroes, but it wasn't a grand scale like Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now I'm trying to remember because it's been like a month since I read this miniseries, but it is a good miniseries to read. If I read the tie-ins, DC has released a companion book where it collects all the tie-ins. And of course, they released the Legends miniseries in a trade while celebrating its 30th anniversary, because yeah, it's been 30 years since this miniseries came out. Oswald himself is basically going to come up with another one-shot for Suicide Squad. Lin Win recently did another volume of Swamp Thing. As for the other 2, Byrne hasn't done very much in recent times. Kensel, I'm not sure what he's done before or after since this miniseries ended. But in case you're wondering, like, top of the board, like, yeah, a lot of the miniseries basically were like this. You can kind of say this is sort of a very Earth-based crossover with a little bit of cosmic stuff into it. So, I do recommend this very highly for people who want to get into DC Comics. Like, I would read this after you read Crisis on Infinite Earths, because this is the next crossover that comes after that. And it's got great artwork too. Though Byrne himself, as far as I know, does not draw the Suicide Squad series, nor does he draw Justice League JLI / Justice League America. He doesn't do that. I think he just goes to do some Green Lantern stuff after this. I think so. I'm not really sure. But yeah, good miniseries. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. Mainly because of how some characters are written in this series. But the regular characters are written perfectly fine. And it's also a great starting. Also, if you want to get into Suicide Squad, start with this miniseries first, then the regular ongoing series. Because this miniseries is the launching pad for that ongoing series. Which, by the way, is very well written, by the way. So, that's it for this that's it for this little review. I'm probably going to do more reviews like this in the near future. So, until then, I will see you with either another audio-only one or probably another visual one. So, next time, bye.